I went into our CEO at that time and said that now we are ready to win Electrolux. He used the F word and said to me that leave his office as quick as possible.
Welcome to today's episode of the Megadeals podcast. In the studio, it's me, David, and the author of the Megadeals book, Christopher Engman. And today we also have a unique guest for you. I don't know about you listeners out there, but sometimes when I meet with new people, it feels like it's easier to connect and you tend to connect on a deeper level almost instantly. It feels like you've known the person for a longer period of time, even if you just met. I know for a fact it's not only me who experienced that when interacting with our guest for the first time. He is not only a great person, but also highly experienced and with deep knowledge around orchestrating large and complex B2B deals again and again. Let's join in on a mega welcome to Tony Bergström.
Thank you very much. Very honored to be here.
And we are extremely honored to having you.
Yeah, be a great day.
Tony, you've done many Megadeals, right? So where is the drive coming from? Have you always had it?
I think it's come from my background in sports. I like to win.
Right.
I hate to lose. Ask my children and wife.
They are the same?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So we compete on everything.
Because you played basketball on the highest level.
Swedish league, yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
But then sports has always been part of my life,
Right.
in some way. Golf or whatever.
But golf is not a sport, guys. I know you both play golf.
Kidding?
Golf is not a sport.
That's the best sports of them all, I must say
it's like
today.
saying dart is a sport.
Is gardening or what?
We take that offline then.
We
can
throw off
actually
the
have
gloves outside.
We can have a boxing.
Yeah, I know you've done boxing.
Yeah,
or you do still?
No, now it's more golf actually.
So we have a guy sitting in our office. He's doing esports. Joachim.
Yeah.
So he was asking me, I hope you listen to this, Joachim. He was asking me, Christer, do you consider esport being a sport? I'm like, no way. He was like, really? I'm like, no, it's not a sport.
Of course it is. You have to widen your spectrum.
You're sitting with a joystick. It's not a sport.
Joystick. Oh my God. How old are you, man? So, this is so interesting, I think, because Tony and I have something in common.
Yes, we have.
That you don't have.
Right.
Golf.
No.
And that's golf, but it's also, we've both been police officers.
Oh, if you've been a police officer as well?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, 2 mega dealers.
Yeah.
And both of them have been police officers.
Yeah.
That's maybe the new thing.
Is it because you two are so intimidating that your customers are?
What is it? Why is it a good combination? First,
I got a question when I finished school.
Right.
After put my sneakers on the shelf. And
you mean police?
Air Jordan sneakers?
Exactly. I studied finance and became a salesperson. I was actually in the beginning of the middle of the 80s when this mobile phones exploded with NMT and so I was part of that.
Right.
That startups of all mobile phone companies in Sweden at that time. So I was in sales, and then I was convinced by some of my friends the best thing in life was a police officer. You have a lot of free time. You can be with your kids and so on. It seems...
You can put the sneakers on again.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
No.
So when I was asked to go back to the sales, I got a question from one of the sales manager. What's coming being a sales guy and a police officer, said, we both have a need to help people.
Yeah.
The solution looks a little bit different, I said.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the really good policemen are very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and
They're not there to
you
penalize
quite
you.
easily, I mean, fast, you need to understand what's going on, right? It's a lot of risk mitigation.
Yeah, sure.
You come with a strong brand.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about it. Some people hate it. Some people love it. It depends on the situation. And I think you can find many similarities, actually.
There's another thing. I think a lot of good policemen, at least, have a very good judgment.
Yeah.
And something we've come across when we interview people like you, Tony, is that so your category of mega dealers are very trustworthy, transparent, authentic, and all those characteristics you also find among great would you call them lawmakers? Yeah. So I think some people might listen to this and think, well, the mega deals might be this sleazy. Is absolutely the opposite. Like,
For sure.
I haven't met one mega dealer that is that category.
No.
You don't find them
either.
here
No.
because trust is such a pivotal
Correct.
part of doing mega deals that you can't fake that.
No, you're right.
What do you say, Tom?
I agree totally. Because one of I think something I have gained or have given me a lot of knowledge. I have had the opportunity to have a mentor, and I think without knowing, I think most mega dealers have in some way a coach or mentor because it's critical. Have been critical for me at least. Running all this big complex business.
So with your experience, I know you have a lot of great stories, and I especially think about when you approached against all odds and in the end managed to sign a big account. Can you please tell us a bit how it all started when you approached Electrolux?
For sure. It was a time when I have been winning a lot of deals. So my self-confidence was really, really high, to be honest. And of course, as an orchestrator, you need also to have a good team behind you. But me and the team had closed a couple of good deals, not mega deals, but at least global deals that in the long term turns into be mega deals. So my pipelines was a little bit empty. So I was figuring out by myself what should be the next goal to win. And I always have seen Electrolux on top 10 list, this most customer the company really would like to have. And I have seen other sales colleagues. They haven't been able to connect with Electrolux in a good way. But I went into our CEO at that time and said that now we are ready to win Electrolux. He used the F word and said to me that leave his office as quick as possible.
Wow.
But I said, no, I will not do that because now is the right time to do something with Electrolux. I have met one person in an event in Stockholm, so I can see that, or I can hear from his question, this probably are some openings, but I'm not sure.
And you, sorry, were you at Siemens at this time?
Yeah, I was in Siemens at that.
So what year is this?
This is 2009.
Okay.
And I also said to my CEO, Mats, that I need one resource. And he said, once again, leave my office. I will not invest any dollars in that account. We have failed so many times. And I said, now
dead end.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, now it's time to win. So I convinced him to give me one resource for 1 month. And he said, if you can accomplish to have 30 contacts so you can build up the ecosystem in 1 month, then you can continue. So Sverker is the name, my good colleagues. We sat down and we start to map the ecosystem. We also did messages that we should have in each meeting. If we met some from IT, we had special messagings.
Right.
If we met some from the business, we had a different messages. But we also said to ourselves, we need always to give the persons some value or educate them in each meeting. So we don't just ask for a meeting and start ask this, what keep you awake at night, what's your pain, and that type of questions.
So sharing some insights.
Exactly. So yeah, after a month, I went back to the CEO and said, I think we have a really good opportunity to do something good at Electrolux. And he asked for the names, and I presented the names, and he said, okay, what's the next step? And I said, now we need to be more specific. We need to look for stakeholders. We need to do a much, much better job in the ecosystem. Also set up the tactics for winning this account. We need more resources and so on.
A question on the ecosystem there. Did you connect with people outside of Electrolux as well? Or was it 100% internal contacts?
No, it was actually a mix, because we know that they have a supplier for this type of solution that we're selling in the product lifecycle managed PLM domain. This was an Indian company. So I contacted their CEO and set up a meeting.
And they're a professional services company?
Yeah.
Okay.
System integrator, SIs. So I set up a meeting with their CEO and asked for a meeting, and we start to discuss how we can partner. If we could see mutual win-win, not only for us, but also for Electrolux.
Right.
And we could actually see that. And then we said, let's go together and make sure that we plant these messages inside Electrolux together. They have their ecosystem. We're trying to build, we was on the way building up our ecosystem and finding stakeholders and try to identify our blockers and so on. But because in that time, our biggest competitors were all over the place in Electrolux and had a good relationship on the executive levels and so on.
So they were well infiltrated.
Absolutely.
Right. And the Indian system integrator, what just out of curiosity?
Wipro.
Wipro, okay.
Yeah, Wipro, yeah.
So it's 2009. You are kind of high on life and high confidence because you are on a roll. And we know that when you have signed a lot of deals, you tend to sign even more deals. So you're in a flow right now, right? So you step into the office of your leader and say, I want to go after Siemens. But what was the thing that, except it was a great challenge, of course, to sign that company, did you look for any compelling reason for them to buy from you or look at their key initiatives or something like that? Or was it more like a gut feeling that now it's time to conquer Electrolux?
It's a combination, to be honest. After working with Electrolux, I think now it's in February timeframe. We have heard rumors that they was going to hire a new group CTO, Chief Technology Officer. And we know that they was running a key initiatives around ERP system, but they were also planning for a PLM. So because as we was so active in the account, we got a lot of information around that coming PLM process that they were going to start.
Right.
And for the listeners who don't know what PLM is.
Yeah, it's a product lifecycle management. It's an end-to-end solution for product, from the idea to you make a product obsolete, to be honest. All the process behind it.
And especially for companies with fairly complex products with a lot of components and where you have to have service down the line, it's right.
Yeah.
Car manufacturers.
Yeah, exactly. And your high tech is really big nowadays. Appliances.
Phone manufacturers.
Yeah. So you say it comes from discrete manufacturing industry, but now it's common in almost every industry. So we know that there was something coming up that we could hook on. The other thing was that we know our biggest competitor, the competitor that they used on a global basis, had some problem. There was some, from a technology point.
Was that Dassault?
Yeah, it was Dassault.
Okay.
Yeah, was a little bit behind us,
right?
When it comes to collaboration platform from R&D perspective. How can you work 24/7? So we knew it was an open window for us to start have a special messaging around that and other things, of course. So that's how we built up our approach, a story around this. So
the starting position and the network.
Yeah.
Great.
And I love how you describe how you started to map and also create messaging so early for each and every situation or meeting, or depending on what
type of stakeholder
exactly you're meeting. And so you and Sverker, did you actually have 30 meetings in a month, or was it?
No.
No,
that is not what happened. We had met 30 people, but in some meetings there were more than one person.
Right.
Yeah. For instance, when we met the R&D manager for dish care, the dish machines, I think he brought in 5-6 people. So.
Right.
But of course we named them.
Right.
And put them on our list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you come back 1 month later, your leaders say, okay, you got to go ahead. You can continue to approach and build tactics.
Yeah.
Okay. So
they have a key initiative around potentially switching ERP and also PLM. You have a handshake with Vipro, the system integrator.
Right. Yeah.
You have the 30 contacts. Just again, out of curiosity, out of those 30, did you already then figure out a few of them that would be your Trojan horses that would feed you with information a bit undercover?
Yeah, we had actually 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. At that time already, yeah. That we convinced that our solution, or we brought more value to Electrolux than their supply they had already in place, yeah.
So did you get more resources now when you have showed that you have this 30 contacts internal and outside of the buyer's organization?
Yeah, because then you can say that we have qualified this opportunity now.
Right.
There are some substantial possibility that we can win this. So then I got a bigger team, more focus on, pursuits and how to run this type of opportunities, going from nothing to a lead and now an opportunity. And then we switch a little bit of the reason. I mean, Sverker he has his strengths in the beginning of a sales processes. So Sverker was, of course, still a part of how we built up the opportunity. But there come in more people with other skills, for instance, technology sales people, product managers. And what I could say nowadays, when you know what, we said this is not beginning of 2010, this social selling or account-based marketing, this type of support sales have today, that didn't exist at that time. So we did a lot of our own white papers and so on. Yeah.
Okay, so now you have your resources in place and you have qualified it. So what was the next step?
There was, as a team, develop special skills, how we drive meetings with Electrolux. Because we got more and more understanding what they was looking for. So in every meeting, we said that in the last meeting, or we have been informed that this is something you need with your future solution. And if we do it like this, have we met your expectations though?
So that was a question you rotated in every meeting.
Exactly. In every meeting, we had this type of way of driving the meeting. So we always...
And then they obviously tell you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And if we have interpreted the question or the needs wrong, they will correct us in that meeting. And of course, we change our presentation or our way to show them the solution.
Just a quick comment there. So I sometimes see people that are too, they spend too much time asking what keeps you awake at night and those kind of questions, which is annoying top decision makers in particular.
For sure.
And then you have the other category, which is too much lecturing to the customer.
Yeah.
But you kind of combined it. You were probing with your insights and your understanding of their needs, but you also added the questions in the end to empty them of their the delta, basically.
Exactly. So we always get the confirmation that we are on the right path, or we have misunderstood part of it, and they correct us. So they put us on the right path. So finally, in April, they came out with an RFI that eventually became an RFP.
Right.
But when we had this...
And how long was the RFI period?
It's extremely short, because in the PLM...
Just like 2 months or...
From RFE to signing contract, 7 months.
Okay, so that's pretty fast.
That's really fast. No one believed that actually that was going to happen. What delayed the process was a little bit that the biggest competitor of Electrolux at that time in Europe was Siemens, and we represent Siemens as a brand.
Right.
So when the steering committee recommend to go ahead with Siemens, they were a little bit nervous. So it actually went up to the board level for the final decision. But I would like to share is that this tactic we used during the meetings we had, and always get confirmation that we are understanding the needs and what they want to accomplish.
Or not.
Exactly. Correct. During the final RFP presentation, there was about 56 and 60 Electrolux people in that meeting with a scorecard. Afterwards, we, of course, got a lot of information how we win and what they thought about our presentations and performance, of course.
Right.
But one really good thing that they share with us was after our RFP presentation, one guy stand up and was screaming to his colleagues who have given
them the information.
their scorecard, because it was full point on every score.
Yeah, with enough contacts and using that probing technique, you obviously got their scorecard indirectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that shows how important it is that don't lecture or ask for
or only open questions.
Yeah, exactly.
The blend is key. Yeah, smart. And also interacting with enough people. So something we often see, David and I and the team, is that people like you, I mean, not you because you're very accomplished, but people that are not like you yet, they overestimate the importance of 2-3 stakeholders. So they put too much bets on too few horses, whereas in a large matrix organization like Electrolux or an IBM or something, you need to build quite a vast network of contacts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very clever strategy, because you gather the information and you also get them to say on a regular basis what you are doing right, and you and then it's hard to back out, right? So if you at the end of the day sit with a lot of good scoring, then it's extremely hard to say, okay, you have the best scores, but we don't gonna pick you anyway for some reason, right?
No.
So it's very, very good tactic. Thank you for sharing that.
And how long? So when you came into that RFP presentation, there was about 65 people in the room. So how long time did you get as an allocation?
I think it was a 1.5 hour presentation and 30 minutes question from the audience.
And did you present the 1.5 hour, or did you have a team presentation?
We was actually a team.
Right.
So I did the introduction and also finish up the meeting. But then I have colleagues, because sometimes I was describing how we meet the process, R&D process, and so on. So it was a mix of value and technology presentation.
Did you, just out of curiosity, did you talk anything about Dassault?
No.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
Just indirectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, knowing what they are and what they do, you intentionally, I guess, planted a few
Yeah.
things without.
Of course, we know their weakness, of course.
Right.
Yeah. So that we push a little bit extra for.
Yeah. But without saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's telling them how important this type of support.
And what happens if you don't support that, which Dassault couldn't support? Right?
Exactly. But I are of this opinion. If I get 1.5 hour, then I spent 1.5 hour telling about myself or my company. I will not spend 1 minute or a second to talk about my competitors.
Right. No, just
they have their own window that they can be telling their stories
where they can shine.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's like Zlatan. He only talks about other player when he get a direct question about another player.
yeah, but I think it's a good strategy.
So now you've had the RFP presentation and you got feedback on the scorecard, and that was very positive. What happened next?
Then the negotiation started.
And were you alone in the negotiation, or did they keep Dassault in parallel?
They kept us in parallel.
Right.
When the RFI process started, they have invited 8 vendors. So for the final RFP presentation, it was actually PTC was involved as well.
Yeah.
But for the final negotiation phase, it was us and Dassault. And they, to be honest, I thought it should be hard for them to exclude them because they were already in-house as a global provider of PLM software.
Yeah. And were all 3 also in the negotiation process, or only you and Dassault?
It was only Dassault and ours.
Right.
Yeah.
And did they keep Dassault just to keep the pressure on you, or was it really a battle until the goal line?
I am sure it was I know it was a battle.
All the way.
All the way into the Swedish word kakel. I don't know.
Into the kakel.
Yeah.
That's the end of the swim lane.
Exactly.
You have to swim all the way to
because
the end.
I know, didn't have been supply for Electrolux for 25 years, something like that. Very well established on executive level and so on.
Right.
So, you need to be so much better. So so they are taking the risk.
Equal is not enough.
No, equal is absolutely.
And just a bit better is not enough either.
No,
right.
No. Because they're always a risk.
Cost. Yeah.
It's cost and a risk. But we tried already from the beginning to talk about expectation management and risk management.
Right.
Because we know the internal political game started the same moment to send this RFI documents out.
Let's elaborate a bit on risk. I mean, we often say value and differentiation brings you through the door. Risk mitigation is closing the mega deals.
Yes.
Can you talk about that in the Electrolux perspective and the Siemens deal?
Yeah, but we identified a lot of risk if we put ourselves in an Electrolux position. The brand of itself, of course, is a risk for them to close the deal with us.
Why is that?
Because Siemens and Electrolux are in the appliance business is head to head.
Right. In the other divisions, they're competitors.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So they have a dish.
Yeah.
They are
Even
a
though
dishwasher.
you work from the software side, it's still a feeling of competition.
Yeah, you have the same brand.
Right.
And as they always said, on the 5th floor, the European sales organization was sitting. They were not so keen to have the biggest competitor in the same office, to be honest.
Right.
So we had to manage that political internal game that we know went on and try to, we always explain for them how we are so separated from
the Chinese wall between.
Exactly.
Right.
And we gave them words that whatever information they will give us will stay in our division.
Which is true, right?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you can't operate.
No. And we compared to the automotive industry where we had General Motors as customer. We have also Ford as customer.
Right.
Volvo cars, and
Yeah.
so we are very familiar with this type,
Right.
handle this type of risk and IP rights, and where, of course, if you put yourself in a customer's perspective, what happens with my IP?
Right.
If I share all this information, because we would have access directly, for
To
all
very
the
sensitive and
information,
not released information.
absolutely, their visions, the strategy around products, and so on.
Already on the drawing board.
Absolutely, because we are really then into the R&D organization.
Yeah.
Another risk also that we also put a lot of energy is that one of the drives for them was to have a 24/7 R&D platform. So when people work in US, the people in Sweden were sleeping. How can we secure the information going from different regions within our infrastructure and software?
Right.
How can we make sure that it doesn't leak anywhere? So that was also, but that's more product related, but
Right.
risk and risk
mitigation.
Yeah. So
And just out of curiosity, we typically recommend that you proactively introduce a risk mitigation workshop in the sales process, even before the customer is asking for it. That doesn't mean you did that, but how did you practically do the things around risk mitigation, around the brand, around the geographical distances with the sensitive information, all that? Did you have specific meetings or workshops, or how did you, or documents, or what did you do in practice?
If I had done it today, I have been doing it in that way.
Right, a proactive workshop.
Very proactive workshop.
Yeah.
In that days, it was more that you prepare yourself for this type of question. So when you got a question, you answered directly.
Right.
So it was no waiting.
Right.
It just push out the question directly. So they felt that we were self-confident, and we tried to build up trust on in that way instead.
Right, but a bit more reactive.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
why would you do it proactively with what you know, based on what you know now?
Because that's really important. Because as you mentioned before, salespeople have the behavior talking about unique selling points and value and so on, and that's what everyone does. So if you want to be different than your competitors, this is a really good approach to set up these risk meetings proactively.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the day, before they sign, they need to go through that
covered
process.
anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's better to do it
in bigger decisions. Bigger decisions, you don't avoid it.
No.
So even when you know it will come, it's better to bring it up before, because that instills a lot of trust. That you as a sales team brought it up before they asked for it.
Yeah, and that gives you credibility and trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also think that we know more today than we did at that time about how important it is. And also linked to how our brain works, because we know more about the brain for the last 3 to 10 years than we have known about the brain ever before, right?
Yeah.
So
there's the Kahneman study, among other things,
that's what
like
I mean.
a loss aversion, where you have 2.5 times stronger inclination to avoid risks than the will to gain advantages.
Exactly.
So that's a factor of 2.5.
So now when we know that, we could apply that into sales and marketing, which you've done great in the book, I would say, also the Megadeals book.
Yeah.
Right. How long from you got the month to show or prove, I would say, to your leader to actually signing, and how big was the deal?
It was actually 12 months.
Oh.
Yeah. Almost 12 months on the day, to be honest.
Cool.
And the initial deal was about $8-9 million. Because initially,
and then it grew.
Yeah, exactly. I've been growing all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But that time, customers didn't want to pay upfront for licenses as they normally have done for many, many years. So the deal was more divided in phases. but in the contract value, then it's a really much higher value, and over year by year. So yeah, now it's someone else that run that account.
Did you know what the end amount ended up with?
It's not still
Right.
coming
Still
in.
running.
Still running. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, in a way, it's not that important, right? The initial value, it's always fun to sign a big deal, but here the interesting part here is it's the complexity and how you manage to do something that everyone thought was impossible. So I mean, the mindset you go in with, I think that's the coolest thing here, right? To really challenge the status quo is what you actually do when you say, I want to go after this customer, and your leader said, no way, get out of my office, right? But you still keep pushing, and that's
an
cool.
$8-9 million software deal might be equivalent to $100 million hardware deal.
Correct.
Because it's such a difference in margin and complexity. So
and
a lot of
11 years ago as well. So.
I mean, a lot of the Siemens and SAP and those kind of deals are. I mean, you look at the deal size is not in the $1 billion level. I mean, it can be, but it's very unusual.
Yeah.
But it's so much more complex than. I mean, just take the other extreme, selling raw steel to a car manufacturer for $1 billion. That might be a transactional deal.
Yeah.
It can be super simple.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So just for the listeners, the way we define a mega deal is that it's the amount is one thing, the complexity is a bigger thing. So selling a repeat order of raw steel, the 5th consecutive year of another $1 billion of raw steel to a car manufacturer, that is typically just a call-off. That's a very simple transaction.
Yeah.
Might be some small negotiation, but...
Yeah, I think some people they see themselves as mega dealers because they are just taking orders or they're getting the sales. It's like birds flying into their mouth. But this is like hard work.
Yeah.
What you showed here.
And the first deal is always the trickiest.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, to build up that trust and everything.
Whereas a lot of the margin might lie in the follow-on orders, but the accomplishment is bigger to win that first contract. Typically.
Yeah, but and you need to understand also that when you combine software and service over 15 years, then you have a lot of
money
coming in. Yes.
Yeah. But after that Electrolux deal, because we've been working together in another constellation before.
Yeah.
So your team at Siemens, so I was running an account-based marketing company, and your team at Siemens was definitely top 3, top 5, and we worked with over 100 Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
In how you apply the account-based marketing, but that was after the Electrolux deal.
Absolutely.
And you were very involved in that from the sales side together with the marketing team.
Yeah. I saw the strengths in it.
Yeah. And you were really early to do really smart stuff around account-based marketing with your company-specific landing pages where you collected account-specific documents and you ran the IP target ads to that to Volvo and those kind of accounts.
Exactly.
And
Atlas Copco and there's a lot of them.
To win the consensus war.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were a little bit early adopters.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. You were early. And not just early, you were also very fast, sophisticated, because as I've worked with so many, I can say that. Some did the very simple approach where you really managed to integrate the sales and marketing around those large deals very early. You're definitely one of the front runners.
Yeah, and you can
and with people like Karin Jonkov and Helena Sveding and those on the marketing side. Yeah,
they did a really good job and very proactively became part of our deals in a way we didn't have done before.
Right.
So that was a really good way how to integrate marketing to sales and sales into marketing.
And not just generate leads.
No, absolutely not. No.
Rather win deals.
No, actually, and there was actually KPIs on that when we can see that it really paid off.
Right, right. And what kind of KPIs were you monitoring?
Well,
I should probably remember, but I don't.
No, it was a click, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
and also that we tag every market activity to closing deals, so we can see that this account-based marketing activity closed the deal.
Right.
So we measured in dollars as well.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
And also looking at how many people from an Atlas Copco that was on the web and volume of ads. And
exactly. So
I think you also were registering downloads from that account and things like that.
how many times they visit our land pages and websites and so on.
And for many listeners, this probably is kind of, we do that already.
Yeah.
But this is like 10 years ago.
This is also 2010.
Yeah. So
actually 12. Sorry, 12.
Yeah, so 8 years ago. Yeah. So you were pretty early with what is now. I mean, most companies still don't do that. I mean, but in the Megadeal category, a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But you were kind of 8 years before the curve.
Yeah.
And since you were an early adopter in that sense, what is the early adopter doing today? The Tony of today, what are you doing now?
Well, by reading the book, you understand the power of social selling or enterprise social selling. And for my own business, what that I'm running today, that will be key if we would like to grow as we plan to grow. Without social selling, we need to hire 5-6 salespersons, and I'm convinced that that will be a much slower process. Cost
those 5 would be slower than adding marketing and social selling.
Yeah, exactly. Cost more,
right?
And by the end of the day, I think if we are not using the different social platform today, it will be hard for us to grow and become the advisor we would like to be in the cost management area.
And in that context, you and the team have an advantage because you are so insightful into that space that it's quite easy to create small videos and articles and posts, etc. To drive the thought leadership.
I mean, you drove thought leadership back in 2009 when doing this different messaging for different persons in the ecosystem of Electrolux. So you have that mindset already, and you have had it for a long time. And to Christopher's point, you just take that, all the great content, and you just push it out through new and different ways, depending on where the customers are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And your business today is still connected to Siemens, but now as an external company, right?
Yeah. We are a partner for one piece of the software we sold, just focused on cost management, product cost management, I would say. So we help our customers to be more accurate in negotiation around price and so on.
Right.
What kind of customers could that be?
It can be in the automotive industry. We have the biggest company in the big as a part, customers, tier 1 supplier. We have, for instance, companies like Husqvarna, Plastal, Electrolux.
And it's a software that actually brings the costs down, or how does it work?
We have a little bit different approach because Siemens can sell the software, but we have the knowledge around how to build up an organization, how to the process. We have the know-how that is Siemens missing. So we do both management consultant and we can add software. So
you have a margin on the software, and then you also make money on the services around it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, guys, time flies when you're having fun. And as you said, you can't win everything, but you won my and Christopher's vote. And this has been a very, very good session. And thank you. I think you won a lot of listeners out there as well. And we usually ask our guests for their favorite book or books, and if they can recommend another Megadealer that we can interview in an upcoming podcast.
Well, I'm not the guy that reads a lot of books. I mean, I usually say pictures tells more than words. So, but I have read your book twice, so that's
thank you.
is a good point for you. When it comes to mega dealers, they are a person that I think is a really good mega dealers. His name is Sia Sanguri. He is a person that have closed a lot of deals in US. Have been working with Apple, Microsoft, and so. And
was he a colleague at Siemens?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. I really I can give you his spellings right name right for you afterwards. But he is, in my view, a really mega dealer.
Cool.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for today, Tony.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
So, Christopher, we have a series of really interesting upcoming episodes, and we have a trilogy around messaging. Can you elaborate a bit about that?
Right. So most B2B companies are still over-investing into lead generation, and they're under-invest in pipeline marketing and also marketing towards existing accounts. And that means that a lot of content and messaging is developed only top of the funnel. Whereas to really win large deals and mega deals and to reduce the total cost of sales and marketing, you need to look at the full funnel. So what we've done in the book and the research is to structure messaging and content in 3 different types. So the first one we call fundamental messaging, which is bringing the customer and the customers from a question mark to an exclamation mark. So the change drivers, category choice, subcategory choice, and then why you as a vendor. And most companies here are talking too much about themselves, and the slightly better are talking about change drivers like pain points, etc. And then the too quickly move into talk about themselves. So we teach companies how to add the talk around the category choices and the subcategory choices. And then the second type of messaging and content is something we call deal closing messaging, is when you move the customer from wanting to buy to actually buying. And most senior salespeople know that part is consuming most time, not the first part. So a lot of content and marketing can be developed to take time away from very senior salespeople.
And it could be how to risk mitigation.
Yes. Yeah. So like what happens from wanting to buy, what happens from signing to going live, how is the rest of the journey between the customer and the supplier looking like. It's also things that explain more in depth what you're offering, the methods behind, business cases, etc. But also, to your point, what is mitigating risk, reference cases, things like that. So anything that is on the list of things that you discuss from the point where you know that the customers have mentally decided they want to work with you until they actually work with you.
Right. Looking forward to that. And then we have the orientational part.
Yeah, the third type of messaging is not connected to actually the process. It's we call it orientational messaging because it orients the viewer, the listener, into a smaller topic, which is your topic, but we use a bigger topic to get the attention to the smaller topic.
So the Aston Martin in the Bond movie.
The Aston Martin product placement in the Bond movie. So the key here is to talk about bigger topics like, so let's say you're selling a technology into the green energy category. Then instead of talking about your technology, you talk about the green energy category as a whole, and you and your piece might be in that bigger category. And also, so for example, like a good type of orientational messaging is to write about your primary customer segment and the top companies in it and the top people in it, etc., to gain their attention. So the goal of the orientational messaging is to increase the audience of what you're selling. Instead of having 3 people in the room, all of a sudden you have 50 people in the room.
Right. So we're going to divide this into 3 different episodes.
Yes.
So that's going to be really
And when
cool.
we run our workshops, this is consuming a full day normally, but we'll cut it into 3 45-minute episodes. And these 3 will be way more methodology focused than our other episodes.
And you will also
bring
share
your
examples.
pen. Yeah,
right.
we'll share examples.
Yeah.
But it'll be more around how to do things than storytelling.
Oh, that's great.
And we'll have examples, of course, in there as well.
And if you haven't listened to the episode with Jürgen Nilsson. It's a must. It's one of my favorites, actually. Is it? Am I allowed to have favorite?
It's okay.
Yeah, because Jürgen Nilsson, he's not just an amazing person. He is so knowledgeable, and he comes with so many insightful things. He just recently got a super senior role in Oman. He's now shaping another ecosystem, and he, among other things, is the shaper of the broadband ecosystem.
And you will hear about how he grew the Vodafone account from an Ericsson vendor perspective globally.
Yeah, that's an amazing journey out of the US. So I truly recommend to listen into that episode.
So please subscribe and also visit megadeals.com.
And catch you later.